Okay, we are live. This is day 8 of the challenge, of the sugar challenge. Day 8 of the sugar challenge. This is our 3rd live, and I am excited to chat with you guys. So, let's see. Last time we did my video a bit sideways, so I think we're gonna fix that this time. And yes, okay. Everything is working. I am hoping. Let me just check. Okay. Okay, let's see. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I think we are working well today. Good morning, Elizabeth. I mean, good evening, Elizabeth. It's morning here. Okay. Let's jump into a bit of a recap from what we've talked about the last 2 lives. And then we'll jump into what we're going to talk about today. And then if you guys have any questions, we can go through that. So the first live, we talked about the importance of having a why, and why we are going to give up sugar and why we want to, and the importance of having a plan. And so that's super, super important. If you guys didn't do that yet, go back to day 1, email 1, assignment 1, and not email 1, but day 1, email day 1, and go through that, because that's really the foundation of this challenge. Okay, we also talked about my approach to give up unhealthy sugars, which is to replace it with things that are gonna support, enhance, restore your body. So the big ones that I want you guys to focus on is breakfast, because when we start off well first thing in the morning, first off, it gives us a jump start and gives us like, oh wow, we did breakfast, like let's keep going, let's have a good day. Because I think sometimes we get down on ourselves when we start with maybe a croissant or a donut and we regret that. So that's one reason, but also because it supports your blood sugar levels first thing in the morning, and is going to energize you and give you lasting energy through the day if you have a good balanced breakfast. So that's why we focus on that, as well as switching out your snacks to be wholesome, good snacks. That's another big part of the strategy. And then reaching for water first. So big reminder again, reach for water if you're feeling like you are hungry. You could possibly be dehydrated. Okay. And then last live, we talked about staying on track, what to do if we do have some sugar and we sort of regret that, or we're disappointed about that, how to respond to that. We talked about the importance of having an accountability partner. We also talked about increasing fruit in our diet, which we're going to go into more today. And we talked about taste buds. So yeah, let's jump into it. So through the whole challenge, I have focused on replacing sugar with healthy foods. And I think, and I mentioned this last time too, but we subconsciously eat what's passed down to us and what we know how to cook. And so sometimes we just have to check back in and be like, because when you're tired and you enter the kitchen and you just want food, you sort of just know what's easy, what's what's routine for you, and you eat that again and again. But I encourage you to see, like, is that powering my body? And honestly, I look at food very simply. I know it seems overwhelming, and it can be, but I try and look at food and think, is this gonna help and improve my body, or is it gonna not help me? And there's a couple ways that you can sort of, a couple tools I'll share that you can try and figure this out. So firstly, how close is it to the original form that it was when it was grown, or created, or, you know, it came alive, like it became food? How close is it to that original form? Because that original form is gonna have the majority, like, is gonna have a lot of the nutrients, the minerals, the phytonutrients, the antioxidants. Specifically, those ones are specifically phytonutrients and antioxidants. I'm talking about produce there. Are they in that state, that form? Because as we heat them up, as we refine them, as we break them down, we are losing some of that. And even if, you know, something is fortified, so it means that it's broken down and then they add the nutrients back in, that is not as good for your body as if it's in the natural state. And that's why I love eating lots of produce. And that's why I encourage people to eat lots of produce, because it's in the best state for your body, and it was like made to eat that way, right? Okay, so a couple of the things that tools you can use to think, is this gonna help my body or not help my body, this food that I'm eating, is look at the ingredient list. How long is the list? Is it a really, really big list with a lot of things that you don't know what they are? Or is it a shorter list and you understand all the ingredients? Because that is going to tell you quite a bit too. Like if it's all these different things that you don't know and it's quite a long list, chances are that's pretty processed. It's not in the best state, like form for you, and your body's going to struggle to digest it. Okay. Yeah, so how long the list is and how many of the ingredients can you actually understand? So that's why I encourage you to eat foods right from their state that they're in from the beginning. And on that state, on that point, let's just chat about, well, actually, I think I'm going to jump into that into a few minutes, but yes, sorry, I'm just going over my notes here. Okay, yeah. So, excuse me just a second. I like to think of it as a tank. We only have so much room in the tank, and it's going to become full before we, run out of space. And so I want to fill the tank with as many good things as possible to power our bodies. And the more that we can put in there to improve and support our bodies, the more it's going to support, enhance, and restore how we feel. So that's the way that I like to look at nutrition. Okay, so it might feel overwhelming to maybe switch out those things that you were relying on in the kitchen. Maybe it's foods that have a lot of those ingredients, which you don't really know what they are, but it tastes really good. It's going to take some time to switch back. But you guys, even think about just pasta. Like, pasta is a good spot to start. Like, find one that's just, a couple ingredients. And I love whole grain pasta, and usually it's like 3 ingredients. And so I think that's like a really easy, simple spot to start. And you can make a simple pesto with that, or a simple tomato sauce with that. And usually those things don't have a ton of ingredients in them. So I do encourage eating pasta with with wholesome ingredients in them. And that's like something quick and yeah. Okay. So it might feel overwhelming and discouraging to figure out what to put in your kitchen. And honestly, I'm going to say, these are the things that I have done is, try one new recipe a week if that's what you can do. If that's one, maybe it's one breakfast, one dinner, one lunch, one new recipe. But I encourage you to increase the recipes in your house with herbs and spices, because we've come to a point where we are eating okay, we're back. Okay. A lot of our food today is enhanced and made palatable by adding sugar and salt. So I know this is about kicking sugar challenge, but in my mind it's bigger because it's taking those foods that you are addicted to, maybe those sweeteners, and replacing them with wholesome foods. And like a variety of fresh diet. And so what I want to encourage you to do, if you feel like, yes, there's lots of sugar in the processed foods that I'm eating, or maybe just sugar in general and salt, increase those spices, increase the herbs, try new recipes with those kinds of things and see how you like them, because that really brings out the vibrance of a dish and also supports your taste buds as your taste buds are changing and you really enjoy that. So find a new herb that you really, really enjoy. Okay. Another idea is buy a new fruit or vegetable each week. Try a new thing that you haven't tried before to get that variety into your diet, because as we have variety, a quick note on variety is as we have variety, it's making sure that we don't have any I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but any missing areas in our system for those nutrients. So it's not giving us like, oh, we're missing this specific nutrient. When we have a variety, it's making sure that we're covered and that we are getting all the things that we need. So that's really big, important thing to consider, to not eat potatoes every single day, but to switch it up. Okay. Another idea for you is when you run out of something in your house and like ketchup isn't that good, or the one that I'm thinking about lately is because we eat a lot of fish sauce, but fish sauce actually, if you look at it, it's like mostly sugar. And so I would really like to replace my fish sauce with a high quality one that does not have a ton of sugar in it. And I have seen there is one to buy online. So I will hopefully be doing that soon. Okay. Now we're gonna dive into fruit a little bit more, because we have a sweet, like if you're doing this challenge, I'm guessing that you have a sweet tooth. So we chatted about, I started talking about how it's better to eat it right when it's picked or when it's fresh. And the reason is because it's gonna have more nutrients in it. It's gonna be in its perfect state. And as it sits there, it's gonna slowly decompose and not be in the best state. So I just want to chat about the different types of fruit we have. So like we have dried fruit, frozen fruit, fresh fruit, we've got juice. So just diving into it a little bit. I personally believe that we should eat a lot of fruit, and sometimes when we're having that sweet craving, like that's probably for fruit and those minerals and nutrients and vitamins that it's giving us. So I'm just gonna, there's someone that I look up to, Simon Hill, who has his master's in human nutrition, and he writes, evidence suggests that in almost any amount, fruit are not harmful and are even beneficial. When scientists had subjects consume 20 servings of fruit per day, not only did they find no adverse effects on weight, blood pressure, or cholesterol. They found improvement on all these markers. So that's pretty cool. I linked to that, to sort of that article that Simon Hill is talking, like that he's referencing, in the email that I sent out for day 8. So you can link there and read that. And there's also another one linked there too, of not to be scared of fruit and how it's not related to weight gain. Okay, and the difference is between sugars and fruits, just a very simple form for you guys. And added sugars is, I mean, they still have calories, but what, like I said, like you're not gonna gain a ton of extra weight from it. And the difference is fiber, all the way fiber, because the way that the fiber is combined with fruit so perfectly, it doesn't affect the body in the same way. It actually supports it versus decreases it in that in the form that it is in. Okay, so let's jump back into the different kinds of fruit. So first and foremost, I'm going to say fresh fruit is the best, especially when it's ripe, peak season, peak freshness. You're going to get the most everything for your body at that point. And then frozen fruit is next, because it's usually flash frozen right when it's ripe. And that's preserving the nutrients so they don't break down, and it's going to be nutrient dense. So that's why it's really good to have frozen fruit. So dried fruit removes the sugar, dried fruit removes the water, and so it's very concentrated burst of sugar. So I'm just going to read this. A fresh apricot contains about 6 grams of sugar per 100 grams of fruit, while when it's dried, it contains up to 40. So before it was 6, now it's 40 grams of sugar per 100 grams of fruit. So you're really going to get that burst. So it's still got nutrients, but let's just not overeat on the dried fruit, okay? Let's not go crazy. And then let's talk about juice. Fruit juice is way better than having a soda or a sugary drink, right? I mean, I'm talking fresh squeezed juice. But the thing is, it's gonna give us that sugary boost, and we're not gonna feel full, and so we're gonna keep having it and having it, right? Just like soda. So we just have to be aware of that. So I think that it's honestly, let's focus on having those fruits with fiber. Okay. Okay, if you are experiencing bloating from fruit, there are a couple of things that you can think about. And I mean, if you're experiencing, there's just a couple of things to think about when we're talking about fruit. And let me think about this for a second. Okay, so if you're experiencing bloating, you could have overgrown yeast in your system. If you're feeling like your digestive system is a little bit off, your intestinal system is a little bit off, it can increase bad yeast in your gut. And that might be something that you want, if that's something that you want to dive deeper into, I can help you look at that. And I can give you one-on-one suggestions, and that would be through, I have a 6-week coaching package, so we could do that if you're feeling that way. But there's a couple things that you can first try, and you can try to have fruit on an empty stomach, or not right after a meaty or a full fat meal. And the reason is that fruit digests or breaks down so much faster than a meat meal or something that's a complex carbohydrate. And fruit is gonna make bubbles, and it's gonna irritate you in your stomach or in your gut, and it's gonna cause bloating. because meat takes up to like 6 to 8 hours, even 12 hours sometimes to digest, where fruit just takes like a couple, like it could even take 30 minutes. And so the combination of that sugar with that fat while they're trying to digest does not make you feel well. So, so try and have it alone. Like you could have it first thing in the morning, or just eat fruit all morning, and then, or I would say have a balanced breakfast, and then, you know, if you're hungry between breakfast and lunch, then you have a ton of fruit, or eat fruit until you're full, and then you have lunch. But maybe don't have it as a dessert necessarily if you're experiencing that bloating, because to mix it with those fatty foods can be hard for your body to digest. And that's the same thing if you've heard of anyone say like, eat your watermelon alone, and that's because it digests super, super fast. It's like known that that's the fastest digesting fruit, right? And so it's pretty obvious to me too. Like I've done that, like I've experimented with that, and I do find like eat your watermelon alone, just like, you know, even though there's usually watermelon at those potlucks or buffets or something, just eat it alone. It's gonna make you feel better. Okay. And maybe for that one, you can wait like half an hour after you eat it and then eat other things. The other thing though, if you know that you have blood sugar like rises and falls all the time and you're really struggling to keep a constant energy, then I would say if you're not struggling with bloating, you could have fruit with a couple nuts just to balance your blood sugar levels better. Or honestly, focus on not even fruit if you're struggling with blood sugar levels rising and falling and energy crashing and falling. Focus on maybe making yourself an egg wrap, or some soup or crackers, you know, something that's more of a complex carbohydrate and won't spike your blood sugars as much as that. Or if you have overgrown yeast or, you know, intestinal bloating and things like that. Okay, so if you want to go more into those topics, you can look into coaching with me and I can help you with that, because those are specific things that we can dive into for your lifestyle. Okay. Now, for the last little bit, I'm just going to jump into saying no. So it can be tricky when you switch over your lifestyle and you realize like, okay, I don't want to eat sugar constantly. I feel like it's ruining my life. Like I'm having it 3 times a day at each meal. What can I do? How am I going to replace it? So I'm just going to talk about saying no, because it can be tricky and overwhelming and frustrating. This is the reason that we are struggling with it, because it's in front of us, or they're offering it to us, or we don't want to be rude. But it is your health, and you are able to say no, yes or no. And there might not be, that might not be the case in every situation, but you can inspire people this way. I know people can get a bit weird or feel like, oh wow, you're so good, you're not eating sugar, I'm eating sugar. So these are my encouragements and my recommendations for how you can respond to those things. So, and I wrote this list out in the email that I sent to, so you can have it there. So those look really awesome. I'm gonna pass today. I realized sugar may be connected to my blank. It could be headaches, bloating, low energy. I'm going to pass today. You could say, no, thank you. I appreciate the offer. You could take it and give it away to somebody else. If it's something where you feel like you can't give it up, or they really made it special for you, you can say, no, thank you. And if they insist, you can say, I'm cutting back on sugar because I think it might be related to my blank. And then you can change the subject and ask them a question. I really like that one because, you know, you don't have to dive right into it with them. And then I would say, I encourage you to bring, if you're feeling like that comes up often, bring something. Bring something that you enjoy. I heard someone that was very, that was not giving their children sugar. They were saying that they cut fruit into stars and hearts and they send it with their kid along to the birthday parties. And the kids, the birthday parties, they didn't even want the cake. They just all wanted the fruit. So that's a pretty cool win, and I thought that was a good idea. And another one that's super fun is like bring a little charcuterie board of, a fruit charcuterie board, or and it doesn't even have to be fruit, right? I'm focusing on fruit because I feel like that's a good replacement for our sugar cravings. However, I also like other wholesome foods that we can replace it with, right? I can be other things also. Like even just a bowl of popcorn, like that's a simple other snack. That's a good way to do it, right? And you can flavor popcorn in so many ways with so many herbs or nutritional yeast or, different things. So I would encourage that too. Okay. So today's tip is, as our taste buds shift, I want you to try out different herbs and spices. So try mint with your water or fruit with your water. Try cinnamon and nutmeg or vanilla in your breakfast oats. Try dill or cilantro in your salad, and you can try dates in your smoothie. Okay. So I want to just take a second now and see if you guys have had any wins this week, if you guys have felt like maybe within your kitchen or how you're feeling or something that you learned that you're really excited about. Let me know. And as you think about that, if there's anything that you guys want to share, I'm just going to go over this week's assignment, which is, I encourage you to find a new recipe that includes fresh produce, maybe some herbs and spice, and a variety of color. And so I don't think that this will be that hard for a lot of you. I think that this will be pretty fun. But find a new recipe to try. It can be one of the ones that I have shared on my email list, or I sent it out right before the challenge started last Friday, so you can find that there. There's some breakfast recipes. And if you make a new recipe this week, if you do this assignment, I would love to see a photo of that so you can share it on the Facebook group and we can check it out. Okay, and then part of the assignment is, again, I want you to remind yourselves of your why again. I encourage you to do this every day, so I'm adding that to today's assignment, why you're grateful that you can do this. And number 3 is check in with your challenge buddy, see what they're proud of, see what they're working towards, and what they're excited about. So those are the 3 things. Okay, so Elizabeth said, sleeping better and less bloated. That's awesome to hear. That's a great win. I'm so stoked. That's really, really great. Okay, so keep sharing those wins if you guys have more wins. The assignment I will share and post again as a guide on the Facebook. So you'll see it there, but it's also in your email that I sent out today. So we have another live on Tuesday night, once again at 8:30, and that one we're going to talk about sort of making a plan as we go forward as the challenge ends, and how you want that to look. And so thank you guys for joining me this morning. If you guys have any questions, you guys can always message me, email me back, or we can chat in the Facebook group. So we will talk on Tuesday, and I hope that you guys have a beautiful weekend.